Welcome aboard to the final episode of our Silent Alarm series here on the Healthy Church Staff Podcast. My name's Todd Rhodes. I'm the co-founders over at chemistrystaffing.com, and we are finishing our Silent Alarm series based on my brand new book called Silent Alarm. And we're closing with the one shift that may unlock every other change you need, and you don't have to rebuild alone. That's the topic of today's podcast. Let me say it plainly. There are too many pastors, too many executive pastors, too many board chairs, too many search committee people, and staff leaders that are trying to carry the weight of rebuilding the church staff pipeline solo. They're recruiting alone, they're interviewing alone, they're evaluating candidates alone, they're onboarding alone, they're trying to fix the culture alone, and it's crushing them. You were never meant to carry this kind of rebuilding project without support. And the truth is, rebuilding ministry isn't just hard. It's complex, and it's emotional, and it's spiritual, and it's strategic. And trying to figure it all out without help, it's not noble, and it's just absolutely unnecessary. So let's talk a little bit about doing it alone and this mentality and what it looks like in real life. You're not sure who to trust, so you just make the call yourself, right? Maybe you've had a bad experience with a search firm or a coach, so you've sworn off outside help. Yep. Maybe you're afraid to involve your team because it might expose more dysfunction than you're ready for the team to face. Or maybe you've just gotten used to that feeling that it all rests on your shoulders. And if that's you, I get it. But here's the warning. If you're a leader who isolates yourself, you're going to tend to burn out or blow up. But the good news is there's another way. Here's your truth bomb for today. Isolation feels like control, but it almost always leads to collapse. Isolation feels like control, but it almost always leads to collapse. All right, so Todd, Mr. Fancy Pants there, what's the alternative? You just call me Fancy Pants. I'm not sure how I feel about that. What's the alternative? If you want to build, you need 4 things, okay? You need wise counsel, okay? You need people who can speak truth into your blind spots with love and with clarity. This could be a coach, it could be a peer network, it could be somebody outside of your church entirely, but you have to have wise counsel. You need to implement a collaborative process. Number 2, build your board. Bring your board and your staff and your trusted leaders into that conversation. Now, you don't do that so that you can dump all the weight on them, but don't carry it all on your own either. Collective ownership and collaborative process builds long-term alignment. Okay, so you, number 1, need wise counsel. Number 2, you need collaborative process. Number 3, you need some outside eyes. Okay, you can't read the label from inside the bottle. A trusted outsider can often spot what you become numb to or even scared to name, or just things that you don't see. So an outside set of eyes and ears is incredibly essential and very wise on your part. So that's number 3. And then number 4 is spiritual dependence. Now, this might sound obvious, but hear me. Rebuilding your staff pipeline isn't just about strategy. It's about obedience. And if you're white-knuckling it in your own strength, it's time to let it go. So what does this look like, Todd? Mr. Fancy Pants. What does this look like in practice, okay? Don't just pray alone. Invite your team to pray over the future together. And don't just review resumes in isolation. Get input from a variety of perspectives. And don't just assume that the next hire will fix everything. Do the work to fix what's under the surface now. And don't just follow the loudest voice. Seek out the wisest voice or the wisest voices. The most resilient churches in this season are the ones that recognize that this work is absolutely too important and too complex to be done alone. Through this Silent Alarm series, we've talked about some of the most urgent issues facing the church staff pipeline and what we can do to rebuild it before it's too late. And I hope some of this has resonated with you, maybe even challenged you, maybe even convicted you a little bit. And if it has, I would encourage you to grab a copy of the book. It really summarizes the last 8 years of my life, a lot of the things that I've learned being involved in helping so many churches and church staff people connect and find each other. And the book goes so much deeper than we could ever go in these 10 episodes together. It's written for leaders like you who aren't willing to settle for barely getting by anymore. And you can find it and grab your own copy right here at chemistrystaffing.com/silent alarm. There is a physical copy you can order. There is a digital copy. There's also, if you just love the sound of my voice to help you get to sleep at night, there's also an audio book version available, again, at chemistrystaffing.com/silent alarm. It's time to rebuild, but you don't have to do it alone. Thanks so much for joining me on this 10-episode journey. We're going to be back next week with brand new topics, brand new things to talk about that hopefully if you're a church staff member, you are going to enjoy next week's podcast. And thanks for caring deeply about the health and the future and the leadership of the church. The alarm is sounding. Let's not hit snooze. Let's respond together. And if there's any way I can help your church or any kind of feedback you want to give me on this podcast, this series, or even the book, if you've got a copy of it, I would love to hear from you. podcast@chemistrystaffing.com. All right, that's it for today. I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll be right back here on the Healthy Church Staff Podcast.